And we are live. All right, all good. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Staying Connected. And it is a Monday today. So every Monday, I have one of our learners. And today, we have Matthew. So, yeah, sorry about the delay. We have Matthew. So, hey, Matthew, how you doing, bud?
Hi again. Hello, everybody.
So, yeah,
I'm
how you doing, mate? You okay?
yeah, not too bad. Just cracking on. Got pretty used to lockdown now, in full swing of it. Just making the most of it. Getting on with my job. So yeah, it's been all right. Very busy, but getting by.
Awesome, awesome. So yeah, Matthew. Obviously, if you guys didn't, this is the second time we've had Matthew on. Um, so Matthew's recently done some course with, but also Matthew works with Sunderland People First. So that's something that's awesome as well. So do you want to talk just a little bit about that at all, Matthew? Just for anyone that didn't kind of see the first time you're on.
Yeah. So if you missed me earlier in the Staying Connected live streams, I'm from a self advocacy organization called Sunderland People First. We speak up and stand up for people with learning disabilities and autism, and we do that through delivering training and providing easy reading, accessible information, and doing things like care and treatment reviews, and just working with the community to make people's lives better. So yeah.
That's absolutely awesome, bud. Yeah. And so, have you kind of checked out the new digs yet at all? Have you been to the new office recently, or have you still not been able to see it yet?
I haven't, not myself personally, but I think we're sort of we're testing the waters a bit, and
Sure thing.
we're getting one person in at the time for like half days just to see how we're doing. So we're starting with
That's the
like
way to do it.
those of us who are like less vulnerable than others. So we're going to start with the least vulnerable, and then as it gets safer, we'll check out the new office. So basically, yeah, what Daniel's talking about there is we're actually moving in with Media Savvy. A boss arranged that, Lisa. And so yeah, we'll be sharing an office space for Media Savvy. So it'll be interesting to see how we'll all work together. So yeah.
Yeah, it should be good fun. I think that yeah, we always had a good relationship with some of the people first, and I think that yeah, it's just gonna get better now that we're kind of and I'm sure it's gonna be great from like a you know cooperation kind of standpoint. Like I'm sure that there's going to be a lot more kind of joint things that we can do together, and obviously, yeah, I'm sure that it'll be cool from that kind of perspective as well. We'll be able to kind of integrate the both things that we offer and do some stuff together, hopefully, which I think will be pretty cool. So we'll see how it goes.
Yep, yep, sure.
Should be good fun. So yeah, so what have you been up to recently, Matthew? Have you been kind of I know that you said that you've done well, I said that you've done, but you have some courses with Lisa recently. Like how has that been, and what courses did you do? So
Yep. So Media Savvy, I've been running two courses. One is a digital skills course, which was with majority Sunderland People First members, teaching them how to use programs like learning how to better use things like WhatsApp and Zoom so that we can stay connected during lockdown. And then moved on to learning all sorts of things like skills with Photoshop and learning how to animate things like through stop motion apps and things like that. So really cool stuff there. I sort of learned some new tricks, sort of beginner tricks with stop motion animation. I didn't really know how to use, and like all these cool things like skinning, where like you have like you're taking photos with your phone, and the stop motion app actually lets you see like sort of the last photo you took as like a transparent image. So
well,
it's like sort of like a beginner sort of first guide in making animation. So that part of it I really enjoyed. It's kind of getting an inside view on how it all works. So I
that
might get creative with stuff there.
yeah, that's really cool, and I think obviously I do a lot of video stuff, and I think that that kind of can tie in with that, and I think that stop motion animation is something that can be like so cool because you can create like full kind of animated shorts, or even if you wanted to, you could make an animated like feature. There's a guy Jan Funk. I'm gonna butcher his name, but there's a really good stop motion guy. If I remember the name, I'll let you know. But he did some absolutely amazing stuff. He made like some feature films because I had a friend when I was in uni who was like obsessed with stop motion stuff, and there's some really cool stuff that you can make from it. I don't know if you've ever seen like claymation stuff where you can make stuff like out of bits of clay, and that's like kind of the some of the basis. If you start to get with basic kind of claymation, then it can like expand into more kind of, I don't know, kind of cool forms of it. If you watch something like
Yeah.
Evil Dead 2, because before VFX, a lot of the special effects were kind of stop motion. So it's really cool to kind of go back and to see some of that. So yeah, stop motion is really exciting, but painstakingly requires patience. Would you
Oh
agree?
yeah, I've seen sort of behind the scenes commentary and documentary with studios like Aardman, who are like stop motion masters
Yeah,
basically.
yeah,
And it's just like how many like hours a day and like photographs you have to take just for one scene. It's like
yeah, yeah. It's
and how many
crazy, man.
little things you have to move. It's nuts. So
There's a I don't know if you've ever seen Parks and Recreation before, but there's a bit where like one of the guys who works there, like Leslie, who's like she's like the head of them, like her boyfriend who also works at like the with Parks and Rec, he like loses his job and he becomes really immersed into stop motion. And then he ends up doing it for like he's like, well, I've been doing working on this for like 3 days, and then like he shows her like the short film, and it's like 20 seconds, and he's like been doing it for like 3 days, and it's like that's how stop motion actually is. It's like really like
pretty, yeah, very accurate.
yeah, it takes a lot of patience, but the payoff is so good if you get it right, and it can look really cool. Another really good stop motion a film that used stop motion was Wes Anderson's Fantastic Mr. Fox. They
Oh
did
yeah,
some
yeah.
they did some of that with miniatures, and they used a bit of stop motion in that, and it looks really really cool.
He is, I think, probably the perfect director to handle like a style like that because it's
Definitely.
just if you've ever seen his films before,
Yeah,
this
yeah,
for anybody in the live watching the live stream right now, he's got like this really distinct sort of the way he shoots his films, like the way he sets up his cameras and the way everything looks, like the shots and that. It's like
yeah, yeah.
if you're watching it, it's like it's his film. Um,
Definitely,
and
definitely.
like that's just it works so well with that little stop motion animation in that film. Another one he made recently called Isle of Dogs that uses the same
Oh
sort
man, yeah, I love
of
that film.
animation. And
Yeah,
yeah, there's lots of other reasons why his films are brilliant. They're absolutely hilarious too. If you want a good laugh,
definitely.
watch them. So
Really kind of like quirky humor with like really eccentric characters that are like quite larger than life. And yeah, he has this
yeah,
distinct style. Like you can tell a Wes Anderson film like a mile off. And yeah, Isle of Dogs, I thought that was absolutely fantastic as well. And I want to see it with my dad and my little sister actually. And I didn't know if my little sister would like it because obviously she was quite young at the time, and I was thinking like might go over her head a bit because it's like obviously like his films are like quite kind of I don't know.
eccentric comedy.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, standard comedy.
it's great.
But she really liked it though, and I was really surprised by that. I was like, wow. So yeah, it's great. Fantastic Mr. Fox or Isle of Dogs. Definitely would check out both of them for that kind of stop motion.
Yeah, yeah, definitely.
Yeah, it's awesome, man. So you were saying you did a little bit of Photoshop as well, right? How was that, and how was it kind of getting to grips with that? And did you enjoy the software? Do you reckon you'll work on it some more? Or
So I mentioned I was actually on two courses.
yes, yeah, yeah, yeah.
We did touch briefly on the Photoshop
Sure, sure.
in the digital skills one, but we'd actually done something previous for Media Savvy like a year ago
Right,
where
right,
we'd
yeah.
actually learned how to do Photoshop skills for like a couple of weeks. But the second course I was on was actually a level one IT skills course with Lisa Miller, and that went more in depth with learning how to sort of edit images and blend them and like repair damaged photographs and like lots of different cool things and techniques. Um, and so, I mean, I finished that course now, but I've still got a few
Brilliant.
little extra bits to do. So, just to kind of finish off, but there's some of the stuff I've learned in that. It's probably really going to help, like, apply to my actual job as well,
That's
because
awesome. Yeah,
helping out digitally. And if there's like, I've mentioned this to Lisa, if there's like another level two course coming up, and then so on and so forth, I'd be definitely be up for doing that because I know
brilliant.
level two involves like video editing
Mhm,
and using the
mhm.
kind of software that you've been doing
Yeah, yeah,
in
yeah.
your YouTube live streams, where it's Hit Film Express, I think is the
That's it.
name.
Yeah, that's right, man. Yeah,
Yeah.
you got
And
it.
so that's part of level two. So I think that'd be really cool to learn that because then
Definitely.
I could use that in my job and actually edit together videos for Sunderland people first. And
Yeah,
also just
definitely.
give it a go myself, improve my skills. I might start practicing things like trailers and that. So
Yeah, yeah,
yeah,
exactly. So it's something great that you can do in your own free time, and it's also something that it could be cool for like your job as well. So it's like a double edged kind of So I mean, the double-edged sword is usually used for a positive and a negative, but it's like it's like two positives,
Dual
would you say?
justice this time. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah,
yeah.
yeah. It's like a two-handed sword. You can see that. So that's one way of looking at it. But no, I totally agree, man. And that's the thing. That's one of the things that I always kind of stress about the stuff that we do. It's like there's the aspect which is just the creative aspect where you've got like it could be good for just your own like kind of leisure if you want to make something on Photoshop. But then there's also the aspect which it makes you viable for certain jobs, because if you go in for a job in the arts and you can say, well, I know how to use Premiere Pro, I know how to use Photoshop, and so on. It's like really, they are big things for that. And I think also being able to do like freelance stuff, like we've got Charlotte in the chat there, and I know me and Haytham were talking the other day. We were looking on her Instagram, and she does like these digital drawings, and they're so good. And it's like things like that as well. It's like if you wanted to be like a freelance artist, then those things are amazing for that.
Yeah.
And I always thought as well, like, I mean, my Photoshop skills are definitely not the best out of media savvy by a mile, because we've got real specialists like Ella and Lisa. But I would say that for me even, and I'm sure that a lot of people would agree, I'm sure at least Ronaldo would agree. I mean, they are great at drawing, but like you don't actually have to be good at drawing. Like for when I was doing Photoshop stuff initially, I thought like I was thinking like I'm really bad at drawing, so therefore I'm not going to be able to do it. But you don't actually have to be like a legit good artist to be able to kind of make certain graphics projects in Photoshop, right?
No, no, no. It's just kind of when it comes to sort of editing images and putting them together, it's not so much like sort of your artistic skill. It's more like your creativity
Definitely,
and just knowing how to use the tools that you use. It's, I think, obviously starting with it, it's a new way of working compared to working on paper.
definitely.
And
It's a good
because
point.
even if you're not good at the start, that's just because you're learning the basics. So I think like when you sort of practicing with that creating images in Photoshop or just editing images together, it's kind of like the more you use it, the more you'll sort of learn. And that's kind of how like as long as you've because I'm glad I was on that course because it taught me skills I didn't know. But
Brilliant.
now that I'm trying those skills out for myself, I'm starting to figure out how certain things work together. I'm like, oh, I can use that for this, and like it just the more I can see myself, the more I use it, the more I'm gonna be able to make things faster and better. So
Which
yeah,
I
I think
think
it's just it's the same with if you were drawn, it's just the more you do it, I guess the better you would get. Even if you're starting out, you're not the best. You keep going and sort of chipping away at that big block of difficulty. So
yeah, definitely, definitely. And yeah, like what you're saying as well with the video edit and stuff, when you progress onto that, like I know that you are like I know that you're into gaming as well and you're into movies, and there's so much stuff that you could do with that, like in terms of content. Like you could be making like highlight videos, or you could make like video essays on stuff. So there's just so much there if you ever wanted to do your own YouTube channel down the line or something like that, and then kind of go into that kind of aspect of it. So it's there's definitely like a world of stuff to look at.
it's funnily enough, I've actually thought of doing something like that
It's definitely a
because
good show, man.
I used to love writing in
Right on.
school. I would like stories and like little sort of scripts for like obviously non-existent plays, the stuff that I would just make up on the spot, be like, oh,
Yes,
this would
yeah.
be a scene I could write for something, and I would just do stuff like that in my spare time all the time. Kind of fell off with that when I went into college because I wanted to focus on getting a job and building like sort of other skills.
For sure.
But I figured now's as good a time as any to start maybe like looking at sort of that creative side of things and thinking, oh, I can use these skills that I'm developing to get myself set up digitally,
Yeah,
and then like apply my writing skills online. And it'd be cool to like you say, write things for videos and like make
definitely.
things like sort of anything. I mean,
Yeah,
just get creative.
I don't know if you Matthew caught in the staying connected stream I did with Ian McPake from Sunderland University, because he's like a film production. It was like a couple of Fridays ago now, but it might be worth watching that one if you're interested in that, because he is a like a film teacher at Sunderland Uni, and we go into like depth about kind of some of the stuff that you're talking about there. So it was a really really cool one, man.
Yeah,
Um,
I've been on. I think most of the staying connected streams. A couple I missed because I got a bit busy. But
Fair enough.
yeah, I've probably seen that one. But like I said, we've had so many now.
I
It's like,
know it
oh, so
is.
many people.
Yeah, me and Matthew were just talking. We're up to episode 41 now, which is absolutely mental to think that we've got up to that level. It's surprising to really kind of realize that we've done so many episodes, because it flies over. And when it's like becomes part of your habit as well, becomes something you're used to. You start to forget, and then you realize like, wow, we've done like 41 of these. So I hope that you guys are not sick of my face just yet.
I
Because
think a number like that though shows like just like sort of how many people you've reached with this.
hopefully, right?
So it's because it's managed to go so long is because like I think it's really showing that stuff like this really helps people.
Yeah,
Um, just to even something as simple as like it's not like this is a course being ran or anything. It's just it's something simple to keep people in touch, and
yeah.
it's really nice sort of to just reach out to people who like sometimes just want to chat or catch up with people on what's been happening in their lives and letting them know about useful things they might not have known before. So
Appreciate you saying that, man, and that's what I think it is as well. It's just kind of, big thanks to you guys, like having that kind of sustained audience. Obviously, we'll have new people to come in and out of the streams all the time, but at the same time, just having that kind of baseline audience of the people in the chat and the interaction, that's kind of what's kept us going, really, as well as being able to kind of maintain that core audience and then kind of having people come in and out after that, and then eventually join that group. So yeah, big thanks to people like you in the chat for being there to kind of just kind of keep the conversation flowing sometimes, and just add a little bit. And just we generally are interested in your guys' thoughts as well. So just to hear what you guys think about certain stuff, it's interesting for us as well. So
yeah, definitely. I mean, talking about when I've been in the chat, sometimes I can be a proper chatterbox. To be
it's all good,
honest,
man. I'm definitely
it's
happy to see that though.
if I notice loads of other people commenting, it's like, yeah, I'll just comment every so often when like I put it in.
It's
But then
all
like if
good.
there's like if sort of this like things that are just not being talked about, just like talking about the weather, I'm like, oh, let's just talk about like anything that's like going on right now.
For sure,
So
man. It's all good. Speaking of that, segue, let's have a little look at what the chat's saying today. So we're gonna have a little look now. So yeah, we've got Charlotte, we've got Lynn, and we've got Sue there, and they're just saying that um, yeah, so Charlotte said something quite interesting. She said that could you imagine if you did this, like, obviously, because if you look at a film like, I think The Hobbit was shot 60 frames a second, which is like quite a high frame rate, so it looks like almost looks animated even.
yeah, yeah.
She was saying, imagine if you did a stop motion animation that was 60 frames a second and how long that would take, and it would be like just unbelievable. It would really, it would take a long, long time.
How many frames is like standard stop motion? Is it like less than 20 or is it like somewhere between 20 and 30? So
Yeah, it's a good question. I would say I think it is between 20 and 30, but I don't know. It's been a long time. I would have to double check, mate, because it's been a long time since I've done stop motion. Um, but yeah, I would say around that. Generally for filming, generally it would be, I generally shoot most stuff 25 frames a second when I'm shooting on video.
yeah,
Just normally shooting. Maybe sometimes 50 frames a second, but generally 25 frames a second. But stop motion, I'm not quite sure. I would maybe say, yeah, about 20 frames a second, maybe.
yeah. Charlotte, I imagine if like you're making a feature length film in 60 frames a second, stop motion film,
Yeah,
even if you had
that's.
a whole team, that's probably going to take like 10 years at least.
I know.
Like, whoa.
Yeah, it's so crazy. So yeah, and Sue was saying that roll on July 25th. She said she can go and swim again. So yeah, they're opening up back up the gyms and they're opening up the pubs and things like that. So I don't know if you had a chance to get the pub since or a restaurant mafia, or how have you been
I'm
doing with that?
I'm really looking forward to go for a swim. Actually, yeah,
Nice,
I-
man.
I'm I'm really hoping to open up swimming pools near where I live soon and stuff like that. But no, I actually haven't had the chance to go to a pub or anything like that because the I've either been working at home all day or like the times where we did want to go out, it was raining. So it's like it's just like but I guess maybe I'm also personally thinking maybe it's a little too early for me, a little too early for me to be comfortable in going to some pubs. But as far as like how many people are actually going to them, it's been pretty sort of tame in
Yeah.
Sunderland compared to some other parts of the country. So I'm really happy to see that the city's actually being quite responsible and respectful of each other. So it's really nice to see. So
Definitely, and I'm with you, mate. I would never kind of condemn anybody from exercising their right to go to one because it is legal, so it's totally fine. But for me personally as well, it's a little bit too early for me also. So I wouldn't, I haven't been yet, but if anyone wants to go, they're absolutely welcome to now. And I think that, yeah, as you said, I don't think that in the northeast it's as bad as it has been in some other places in the UK where they have been kind of one of the things I saw, there was one in I think it was in Manchester, and it was like there's social distancing in the pub, but then as soon as they go outside, there's like just like a huge clump of people all together. So it's like it just totally defeats the purpose really. Um, but yeah, I thought that was
Yeah,
kind of
yeah,
like a eye roll moment. It's like oh yeah, look at all these tables and stuff inside, and then as soon as they go outside, it's just the high street's just stacked full of people. So I don't know,
yeah.
man.
It's sort of an up and down of it. It's like,
Yeah,
lockdown's coming out, but like hopefully people can just be a bit more understanding that, to keep each other safe, we need to sort of keep that distance still for as long as we can. Um,
definitely,
but
man.
it's same with beaches. It's like
Yeah,
I really want to go to beaches the summertime. You want to enjoy the nice weather, and it's like, but that's you and every other person wants to do that. So
true, true,
it's
true,
like
true.
we need to like think about stuff like that and be conscious of it. So
Yeah, so exactly, and I totally agree. And sometimes it is a bit kind of scary when you see some of the pictures of the beaches and how like packed that they've been. So it's like, wow, it's pretty crazy, man. Um, so yeah, also Charlotte said that you never stop learning Photoshop. She says I've been using Photoshop for over 10 years, and I'm still finding new ways to do things in Photoshop or any other creative software. So I can definitely relate to that. I feel like it is always a constant kind of learning curve. So it's pretty interesting. Let's see. And then yes, Charlotte also says we're not sick of you, Daniel. We watch your hair grow on the live stream all the time. And Sue says we should do a stop motion of Daniel's hair growth. So
yeah, honestly, Daniel, it's not that bad. Your hair actually like it grows out in a style because you've got this sort of the parted style on your hair. For me, I never got a style before this all went down, so it grows outwards the sides of my head. I'm gonna look like Sideshow Mel from like the Simpsons or something. So
It's all good though, man. I think that's the thing. It's either you go for the long hair, don't care, or you've got to kind of shave it all off. So it's like I'm glad that we're both flying the flag for the long hair, don't care, because I think that's the way to do it, really. And yeah, man, like I know that now people are getting the headdress is actually open now. I don't know if you saw that. So that's one thing, but I don't know. I can't be bothered to wait for an appointment or anything. So I think I'm just gonna wait until it's like fully open, and then
a little more waiting won't hurt. It's like
yeah.
we've lasted this long.
Yeah, so I want to ask as well, how's things on the Sunderland people first front of like, have you still been in touch with all the guys? Are you still kind of doing? I know that you guys said you had a WhatsApp group, and you said you've been
Yeah,
doing Zoom meetings. Is that still going on? And like, how's things? Are they starting to kind of come back to normality? Or are you guys still kind of? I know that you said just before that when it's in terms of the office, you're going to introduce it one by one. I think that's a really good idea. So yeah, what's
yeah.
the update there?
So we're since lockdown started, we've been having team meetings every day, and we still
Cool.
have those. We're sort of because of the much bigger amount of work we managed to get since we figured out a new way of working with them being able to either deliver training or work with
Sure.
people. We sort of cut down our team meetings now, so we kind of have one like every other day now.
Right
So
on.
like a Wednesday and a Friday, funnily enough, like this.
Nice.
Um, but no, we're still managing to keep in touch, and everybody's we're sort of we're powering through it together.
Yeah.
Um, and as far as work goes, like I just mentioned, we're using Zoom and things like that, finding new ways to sort of
Brilliant.
work out we were used to doing before quarantine happened. But you know, as far as getting back to normality, it's very much like sort of we're starting with staff members and people who are just sort of less at risk, so
Definitely.
who are able to go back and so taking it as it goes and see how much safer it starts to get before we can really get back to sort of doing what we used to do.
Yeah.
But no, but I think everybody's still managing to sort of fight through it and we're keeping strong together. So yeah,
Brilliant, man. Yeah, I'm happy to hear that, and it's good that you guys have kind of been able to kind of maintain the meetings. And obviously, it makes sense if you're doing it like kind of tri-weekly. Just kind of if you've done it enough, and then there's a little bit of space in it. So I guess that makes sense. But yeah, it's good that you guys are still kind of keeping that up, and then obviously you are kind of starting to gradually reintroduce stuff as well. So it seems like it's all going good. So I'm happy to hear that, man. I know that you said that you watched the Autism in Mind stream the other day, and I thought that those guys were really great. I thought that those guys were really cool as well. And you said you were on one of their courses before as well, right? And I thought,
Yeah, yeah. I think for me that live stream personally was really helpful because obviously as an autistic person myself, it's kind of like wanting to get an idea of how other people are sort of finding it. Not just people, more than just people that I know.
for sure,
And it's also just sort of getting general advice and seeing how they've been doing because obviously I was quite involved with them in the past before. I used to work with Autism in Mind.
for sure.
Um, and during that time, I did that. Me, myself, and autism. It's kind of, I mean, they talked about it loads in their live stream, and I'm not gonna
Yeah,
go
it's
too
it's yeah, it's fair. Yeah,
there's fear of repeating ourselves. But
yeah, yeah.
the long and short of it's basically that it's kind of a course where you can, it helps. I mean, this is talking for me personally. Autistic for an autistic person is kind of helping you understand why you feel the way you do sometimes and like certain things about you. It's not really sort of telling you this is how you feel. It's more
Hmm.
like sort of helping you figure out
Yeah,
what helps you and sort of trying to figure out the best ways that support you and sort of trying to identify things that help you cope with certain things like social anxiety and
yeah,
sensory issues and all this kind of stuff that is generally difficult for especially for how my autism affects me. But yeah, that live stream was great, and it was just really nice to sort of catch up with a team that's like so so passionate about like sort of getting just to show that autistic people we're just it's even though we're not like normal, it's not like it's
well,
it's
yeah,
like no, normal is like sort of it doesn't mean anything
yeah.
because
What is normal? You know what I mean? I mean, like, there's no such thing, is there really? So it's like, yeah,
everyone has their own version of normal,
yeah,
so like
exactly. Definitely, I see you saying that, and I think that's really cool that you said that you kind of connected with that stream, and I really enjoyed talking to those guys, and it's one of the great things that I love about staying connected is getting to meet kind of different people, and we've met some great kind of organization heads from kind of charities and CICs, and just kind of seeing what all these other people do, and I think that that's absolutely awesome. So yeah, so what have you kind of been doing kind of lately? I know that we were talking last time about what you've been up to during lockdown. Has it been like kind of? I know this. You said you've got your work and you've been doing obviously a bit of that, but is
yeah,
there
yeah.
aside from that, is the kind of the have you kind of been have you still been kind of like how have you been enjoying your leisure time basically?
So I've put myself, I've gotten into a routine which I thought I'd never be able to get into, a routine that's gonna not be changed by like the constant changing
Sure.
situation.
Yeah,
But
makes sense.
I managed to organize being able to see my dad
Brilliant.
because obviously going to his during lockdown was like a no-no.
Yeah.
You can't visit other families because that would have put me and myself and him at risk. But we've figured out a system now, and so now that things are getting safer, I can get there safely and be able to stay over
Brilliant.
there and make sure that I'm not spreading anything. So that's great. Now
Perfect.
I actually get to solve that part of my life that was missing for a while. Is kind of like back in a new way. Um, and I've been going out every day for walks now. Like something I was definitely wasn't doing was staying in the house pretty much all day for weeks on end.
Yeah.
And
Well.
now I've sort of planned out a route I can take in my neighborhood where I
Right.
can walk and be able to maintain distance if I see people.
Brilliant, man.
And yeah, and it's just something I've been trying to do every day, and it's been really helpful to sort of get that fresh air and sort of clear my head. And then other than that, in my spare time, just sticking to what I was doing before, trying new stuff. I've been playing. Been managing to play a couple of games, and I might end up going off on a tangent
It's
here.
okay,
But
man.
I got
Most
into,
welcome to.
I managed to start playing Final Fantasy VII, the remake.
Oh, the remake. It's like
Yes.
it's two discs, right?
Yeah, it is. It's two
Yeah,
discs.
yeah.
I mean, like I know the original was like five
I
discs,
know.
but like yeah, I can see why everyone is like thinks it's such a classic. It's
Yeah.
like I mean, I started it like a while ago now, but like I'm like 20 hours in, and it's blowing my mind, and like it's such a good game.
It's
And I've laughed, I've cried, and I've definitely cried. So it's
I
been
need to play it, man. You know what it is like, because growing up, like I never really got too much into the Final Fantasy games. You know, for the main thing is right. That I understand that the story is absolutely amazing and they're some of the best games ever made. But like for me, it was the turn-based combat I could never get past, and like I remember playing it as a kid, and at the time I just didn't have the attention span for like turn-based combat. I wanted to like just jump in and just button mash, and
yeah, yeah,
so I kind of grew up on like the main games that I was playing. I was really heavily into like Metal Gear Solid was a huge one for me.
yeah, definitely.
Zelda, all of the Zelda games were massive for me, but I never really got too much into Final Fantasy. But that being said, I do want to go back and start to get into those games because I know that you know, in terms of like when you talk to people who play games, like well, they always say their favorite games are it comes up a lot. And I know these remakes look awesome as well, so it's definitely
Yeah,
one that I'm looking to get into.
I think if you want to start somewhere, the remake is the one because it's like it's the most accessible. It's not turn based. The remake, it's actually like sort of
Oh, really?
it's yeah. It's basically have you played like hack and slash games before?
Yes,
Like
I have, of course.
kind of
Yeah.
like it's Devil May Cry, not as complex, but it's kind of similar to sort of Devil May Cry in games like
Oh,
Bayonetta.
dude, love Devil May
Um,
Cry.
it's like it's sort of got this like combat system where it's like there's combos and stuff like that. But then it's also sort of got that it hasn't thrown away the strategy of the original, so it's kind of like it's got like ways you can take on people, and it's got that RPG sort of thing where it's like knowing their weaknesses and like working as a team, sort of because you can play as like each character and they've all got their own moves, and it's just yeah, it's really really fun. It's like it's not just the story and the characters that are great because they're like the best part, but like the gameplay is also like really 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 good. So
Man, I'm definitely gonna that. Yeah, I'm gonna get into that. But the only thing that I think that the thing that put me off is do you have to buy the two discs separately? Is that
no,
right?
no, they come in the
They come
box.
together.
I
Oh,
think
okay. I don't know why I
the
thought that.
I'll not go on about it for much longer, but the confusion with that was um so people were thinking the game was going to be uh, sort of separated and like they were going to sort of charge extra and extra. That's not the way they've done it. They're actually developing parts of the game separately. So
Okay.
it works as this is like part one, and then they'll do a part two in years to come. It's not like they've got it just ready and waiting. It's
Oh,
like
got you, man.
they're actually
Cool,
trying to
cool, cool.
separate the time.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
no,
yeah.
no, you don't have to pay for the disc separately. That's kind of like they've had to put it on two because it's that big.
Yeah,
So
I've got it. I've got
it's
it,
just
man. I'm with you, dude. Like, yeah, and I love that the kind of this is like a new thing with games. We've already seen this happen in films, and that's like the remake. But it's like Resident Evil 2 remake got Game of the Year, I think, last year, and then the Resident Evil 3 remake came out quite recently, and I think that 2 was like amazing, but I've heard that 3 wasn't as good. Like, it didn't get the quite. Some people love it, but it wasn't quite as well received as the 2 remake. So I'm not too sure.
yeah, this is a good thing to talk about because like you say, it applies to films as well, so we can get a bit more broad with what we're
Definitely.
talking about. But yeah, I think remakes. It depends on obviously if you're making something like that, it's because you want to bring something that's like beloved by people back into sort of either a new take on it or just sort of like playing a fanfare again, sort of like making you sort of going one more round the block for people who like
Yeah.
everything they love about it.
I don't
Um,
know. I don't know if you watch South Park at all, Matthew, but there was a really funny South Park episode called I don't know called Member Berries where like they all eat and they were like kind of poking fun at remakes, and it was like they were saying that like they poked fun like Star Wars was one of the ones they picked on, and what you're saying rings so true because it's basically like that's what it is. It's like it's like do you like there's the callback stuff that you need for the people who love the original, but then you need to make it also original enough that it's going to open up to a different audience. Like that's what you're saying, right? So it's like it's that balancing act.
yeah, yeah. It's a strange world where a parody like Spaceballs is more faithful to the original material than the new Star Wars films would be. But I'm not gonna say any more on that because I might annoy some people.
What's
So
the? It's just because it's like, you know, they had different directors, so it's like J.J. Abrams comes in and he'll do undo everything that Ryan Johnson did. So it's like it just doesn't make sense for it to like go one direction and then be like, no, we're totally going to do that over. And it like that's why that whole saga it just feels so disjointed. I think. Um,
I think
so
I think my personal take on if you're gonna remake something like art or whatever, um, you need to have appreciation for the original material.
definitely.
Whatever you make that is new needs to sort of be faithful to that. But then also don't be afraid to also like just to add to what's there. So like sort of don't take away anything from
Hmm.
what made that special, but then also use the opportunity to deliver something new to
Yeah,
people.
exactly.
And that's what they did with Final Fantasy VII. It's kind of like everything that was in the originals in this, but then there's even more stuff, and it's like
Yeah,
it's
that's a
just
really
perfect.
good point. I can with games. I think that it makes more sense than with films generally because well, it's sometimes because right with films like you can in a way right because I think that with games it's like if it's like Metal Gear Solid One or if it's like Final Fantasy Six or Seven or something, it's like they're like PS1 games, so it's like is it PS1 or PS2? I'm not sure,
Yes, it definitely
PS1
is
game, right? So
perfect.
so it's like the graphics is so primitive, the voice acting was so primitive then, so like now to do it on a
Wasn't
modern
any.
there wasn't any, right? So yeah,
There was no voice acting. No.
so there you go. And like yeah, voice acting in really old games is so funny. Like the Resident Evil One voice acting is like some of the most hilarious stuff
Yeah,
ever.
absolutely.
But yeah, so to be able to do it now, it's like they can kind of totally. It's like a completely new game, and it makes a lot more sense in that aspect, I think. Whereas with film, it's like I can still watch a film from the 40s, and it's still nice. The quality of the camera is quite good, even though that it's old and maybe in black and white.
Yeah, yeah.
So yeah, it's
Yeah, like it's the same with films. I mean, films have obviously had like a longer time to sort of develop, whereas games just had this explosion. Whereas like with this game that came out like 3 years later already looks like
I
it's
know
from outer space.
crazy man,
But yeah, and with films it was more of a gradual sort of advance. It's
definitely,
I think as far as doing stuff like that goes, um if you're gonna remake something, just make it believable as well, and sort of like don't take things too far, or don't um, just try and like sort of make a version of something that like completely disregards what it was about.
definitely.
And that it's funnily enough you mentioned that goes for dialogue as well. You don't want to make dialogue like that was in the first Resident Evil and go, well, we have to keep that. No, you
Like
don't.
yeah,
You don't need to keep words where
it's
it's
like
like,
a
Jill,
Jill
take this
sandwich.
key. Jill, take this key for the mansion. It's only fair that
So
you, the
funny.
master of unlocking, take it with you. You imagine seeing that in a horror film on screen, you'd just be,
It's like,
I can't take
what's
this.
going on? It's so good. Yeah, and obviously I've never seen any of them, but apparently the Resident Evil movies are like all really bad as well. Like I've never seen them, but I've heard that they're not the best.
Yeah, well, when you're making an adaptation, definitely don't. Um, just make sure you talk to other people about what you're doing and get them to look at it and be honest with you and just go, that's that's not very good,
So
but we'll help you make it better. So.
yeah, well, exactly. So
Yeah.
yeah, so Charlotte is saying that um sorry, she said that yeah, you definitely have to be careful with the remakes of films like the Ghostbusters remakes. I didn't know which
Oh,
direction it wanted to go in and it totally ruined the film in my opinion. So yeah, I kind of agree with you. I mean it's tough man, but the first two Ghostbusters movies were so good and they were absolute classics and people make it political for the third one about it being like an all-female cast, it had nothing to do with that. It was just a bad film. The writing was bad and it wasn't a good movie. So yeah, it's
yeah, I can see what they're trying to do with stuff like that.
yeah,
It's
yeah,
trying to represent people, just people who like have been underrepresented in media, like
for
in
sure. I get it.
history. So I can see the sort of the ideal for it, but you also need to put like sort of actual sort of. It just didn't feel like there was the creativity and passion and sort of, and also being respectful of what you're trying to remake. Because I understand
Definitely.
you want to remake something using an idea that is like I say is underrepresented, but then to not also understand what made that special
Yeah,
and sort of try and make your own version of that. That just didn't happen. They didn't recapture that magic with their own sort of spin on it. So
exactly. Yeah, and that's it. That is. It's just not capturing the magic from the first two. And when you got
Yeah,
people like Bill Murray in it, who's just so amazing, and like the way he delivers his lines with such dry humor, it's like it's tough, man. It's really really tough. Um, yeah, and Sue, sorry, so Lynn was just saying that CIC is community, because I mentioned a CIC earlier, and Sue said, "What does CIC mean?" It's a community interest company, and it is generally a not for profit. All CICs are kind of a little bit different, but with Media Savvy, it's all of our kind of courses and things like this, they're all part of the not-for-profit side, and that is kind of our kind of charity side in a sense. And then it's that there are commercial projects that we do as well. So for example, we are all like specialists and stuff. Like myself, it's like with film. With Ella, it's like illustration. So with Haytham, it could be web design. So
yeah,
yeah, we may get hired to do a project, and that would be more of the commercial side of it. So that is a CIC in a nutshell. I
yeah,
think.
yeah. Basically, just like trying to give people in the community skills,
Yeah.
and then hopefully, those skills can get them onto sort of getting them into employment or things like that. Yeah. So.
Exactly right, buddy. Yeah, so Charlotte as well says she loves the Final Fantasy designs and characters.
Oh
Excuse me.
yeah.
She says, I have a big set of the art books with all of the artworks with the designs and everything. And yeah, CG is underrated. Like some of the video game CG is so good. Like it's really, really cool.
Like I think sort of. I mean, gaming's like
Yeah.
it's sort of it's took off in a way, but it's sort of it's a form of media where you can express so many different things in just one thing. Because like
Yeah.
obviously you play a game because it's fun and like you can get immersed in sort of just learning how it works and sort of just playing it and getting lost in it. But it's also like such a good opportunity now more than ever, an opportunity to sort of show off things like artistic creativity and things
Yeah.
like that. And I think they Final Fantasy was ahead of its time in a way because they
Definitely.
were already doing that, like in the '90s, where there were just so many like sort of different talents in it. Like the art is just incredible. Like those artists are like they make stuff that could be up in like famous art galleries and stuff like that. At least for me personally, it's like just the incredible amount of talent and like time and effort just put
Definitely.
into these things. And the same goes for like music and things like that. There's just so many different things in this one form of media that is just like the
Yeah.
creativity is like limitless almost. So
Definitely, man. I totally agree. And I love if I get like a new game and then it's got like some kind of concept art in it, and it's just like you can see that the characters and designs and what they originally were. I think it's so cool, and I love that aspect to it as well. So I totally agree, and it's it's kind of one of the things that made me fall in love with gaming initially was just the idea that it's like, and it's the same thing that reason I love film. It's just it's and it's kind of goes back to like, I know to link it to Media Savvy somehow, but like it's just the Media Savvy actual motto is logic will get you from A to B, but imagination will take you everywhere. And it's like an Einstein quote, and that's it, because it's the imagination in movies and in games. It's like kind of to what you're saying. It's that someone can create the idea to me that someone can create like a world in their mind. Like if you think about someone like Tolkien, who obviously did Lord of the Rings, right? Like he has this idea of like a whole world in his mind, and it's in his head. Like that's literally it. And then he externalizes it and writes it down, and he creates Middle Earth. And then you've got like when you watch Lord of the Rings, or if you read the books, you feel like it's actually a real place, like it's there, and it's like
yeah,
that's so amazing for think that's came from a human's head. Like they've literally thought about how the trees are going to look in this world. They've thought about how the terrain is and things like that, and like that's just such an intricate detail, and it's one of the most amazing things about being human is imagination, I would say. Definitely.
yeah, definitely. Yeah, I can see why like things like games appeal to so many people is because I think it can be more than just sort of like you boot it up and you can shoot a few space invaders from your little something. It's come a long way where it's kind of like now you can sort of build you can build something that people can get lost in,
Yeah,
like in sort of this just like this escape of a tunnel straight into like a group of people's like just wild imaginations, like this
definitely.
just vivid sort of amazing like just like a portal
Yeah,
so to like somewhere like to into sort of people's brains where it's like there's just so much amazing passion and creativity behind it. And
So true.
I get that. I was getting that with the Final Fantasy VII remake. You're like
It's awesome, man.
you're walking around in this sort of like area, and there's these all these beautiful colored neon lights, and there's like kids playing in the playground. There's a bar, and then you look up, and there's this giant like plates in the sky because like you don't see the
Oh,
skies.
that sounds so cool, man.
Like this is just the craziest world ever, and it's like and it's like that's the kind of artistic expression where it's like it's a wonderful thing where that stuff like that can be possible. And it's a lot
Definitely.
of hard work, but it's sort of like it's sort of it helps people fulfill their dreams in a way.
Yeah,
You
it
know,
totally does,
when
man.
they express themselves like in that way. It's just incredible being able to show sort of
Well, it's like,
what
yeah,
goes on up there. So,
definitely. Yeah, yeah, it is, and it's yeah, it is. It's people kind of be able to kind of express their dreams and make it into something that's tangible. And I think as well, like it's yeah, it's awesome. And I remember, like, for example, like the first time I played something like Skyrim, like when it first came out, and like just how blown away I was by like how big and like vast it was and how many places you could go, and it's just unbelievable, man.
yeah, yeah,
So yeah, but so yeah, Charlotte was saying there as well. I think some of the worst remakes of video games, remakes. I think she's saying for movies and anime movies. They always don't go. So live action version of anime movies, I'm guessing they always don't go down well with the fans. And yeah, I would agree with that. Like I'm yet to find a good remake, like a live action remake of an anime movie that went well. So yeah,
yeah.
but I think I
I
heard.
think
Go on,
you're
bud.
limited by some things in that sense. I mean,
Yeah.
obviously, people can get really creative with like when you're shooting films that are live and things
Oh
like
yeah.
that. But I think there's so many sort of like you're only limited in animation by sort of what kind of people are willing to do with their art and
Yeah.
the sort of the way they can transform that into moving sort of pictures.
Yep.
Yeah, just it's about I think it's freedom of artistic expression is the only thing that's limiting you at that point in animation. With live
Definitely.
action, you kind of you're more sort of bound to sort of the rules of reality,
Good point,
but
man.
also learning how to sort of bend those rules a bit through sort of filmmaking techniques, and also maybe a bit of like computer animation. But if you go too far in that, it's not going to look believable. So
Exactly
it's
right.
a bit
Yeah.
more of a natural balance you got to find when you're doing stuff like that. And I think it'd be just really difficult to remake some things that were either hand drawn or made on a computer into sort of real life. It's difficult. So yeah,
So true, but yeah, yeah, you're not wrong at all. So, okie dokie, guys. So I tell you what, we've still got a little bit of time left, but while we've still got about 10 minutes or so, I'm gonna drop in the survey link now. So if you guys could please do that survey, it is survey time that time again. And I know, guys, if you joined us in episode 1 of Staying Connected, um, and now it's episode 41, then this may be your 40 something survey. So I know that sounds absolutely crazy, but just if you could just whack it in, guys, you know the drill. And if you are joining us for the first time, if you could just fill in this survey, it takes about 30 seconds to a minute, and it just really, really helps us out as well.
yeah.
And
I've, I've done so many at this point. I can fill it in about 10. So we
there
should
you
get
go.
a media savvy survey speed run at some point.
Yeah, we should definitely do that and get like a timer and see how fast people can do it. And I think that would be I'd definitely be excited to see that. But yeah,
You'll
man,
get faster. You'll
go
get
Nick.
faster times on the longer series. So
Yeah, there you go. No, but yeah, mate, I'm happy to hear that you've got some routine back. And I remember, yeah, as well, like the first time, man, because I didn't see my dad for, and I want to know as well, everybody in the chat, have you guys been able to catch up with your family yet? I know that now we're starting to come out of lockdown, and how has that been for you, being able to kind of reconnect with your family? Because it's for me, I didn't see my dad for like nearly 3 months, and it was nice being able to see him. I saw him
yeah,
a couple of weeks back. We went to the park together, and it was really nice to see him because it felt like it had been a while. And yeah, man, it's good now that I know we're a little bit, it's less strict with the lockdown rules. I know that you can visit households, like certain households, there's like certain rules with that. So, yeah, it was good for me to kind of be able to do that and just to get that routine back, as you were saying yourself. It's definitely kind of important and like structure in your life in general, really, isn't it?
yeah. I was in the same boat there. I hadn't seen my dad for about 2 months. So it'd be nice to hear if anybody else has managed to sort of reconnect with people that they might not have been able to see for a while. And even if you're not like physically meeting them, like just like using things like this, like Zoom, like I think a lot of people have sort of discovered new ways to sort of reach
Absolutely.
out to people. So yeah,
I tell you what, we're going to do one bit of good news, just to
Right.
kind of to play us out, so to speak, and yeah, we'll have a little look through this together, Matthew, and I'll kind of talk you through it because it might be like a 20-second delay or something on the stream there, but
Yeah, sure.
I'll kind of narrate it a bit and then you'll be able to see it. So basically, let's have a quick look. Sorry. All right, I'll just work that on now. Yes, so this is what I thought was quite cool here on goodnewsnetwork.org. It is the search engine that plants trees with every search, and it has just planted its 1 millionth tree, believe it or not, which is like a crazy, crazy number. And it is called, for 11 years, the search engine. This is the first time I've ever heard of it. Ecosia has used most of the revenue from advertising on its website and app towards planting trees, and this month they planted their 100 millionth tree. 100 millionth tree. The phenomenon
Wow.
of mass. It's crazy, right, bud?
I thought you said a million at first, but I'm like, oh
I
no, it's
did.
100 million.
I think I did. I think I
That's
said a million,
madness.
and it's not. It's 100 million. So that's like quite a number, right? Um, yeah, 100 million. And it was saying there that since then, projects like Africa's Great Green Wall and China's Great Green Wall, or dozens over in Asia, have seen billions of trees planted over the last 2 decades, although many have died due to improper planting or post planting management efforts. So it says that Ecosia often targets countries that are most biodiverse, where tree loss directly corresponds with species loss. So this has caused them to launch projects in Nicaragua, Peru, Burkina Faso, or Malawi. I don't know if I butchered any of those names, and Australia and Indonesia. So here's a picture of some of the trees that they planted there in Brazil. That was a 3 million tree planting project there. So you can have a little look at the difference there between the two trees, and that is pretty cool. And they were saying that blah blah blah. Yeah, 200,000. And in, for example, in 2018, they created a tree nursery for 200,000 trees in Madagascar to help create a forest corridor from an isolated habitat to the ocean. So that's really, really cool. So yeah,
I,
like
I guess like the left's before and on the right's after. So
I'm
that's
guessing so. Yeah, unless it was like they destroyed all these trees, but
yeah,
no, I'm guessing. Hopefully, it's the one on the right. Um, but yeah, guys, like this is the first time I've ever heard about this. But like, they've made 100. They've planted 100 million trees. So yeah, it must be good. And I've got the actual website here, guys. It is Ecosia, ECOSIA .org, and there you go. It's actually got a countdown like timer of how many trees it's planted there, so you can see it's 100 million there plus, and that is pretty amazing, So yeah, it's plant.
yeah,
So the way that they do it, I'm not sure how it works, but they were saying that with each search you do on it, that for the ad revenue from the search, they use that to plant trees. So it's a pretty interesting kind of method, really, isn't it? It's like, thought it's
yeah. If you replace that with Google, then like every time you need to ask a question on the internet, you search on that, you literally planting a tree pretty much
yeah.
uh,
If you think about
through the use of that. So yeah,
definitely think about how many times you just like, oh, I'll Google it. If you ecosia it, then you're planting some trees, so you're doing a bit of good, and it's generally, I really love projects like this because it's a way that you can live your life and kind of help, reduce your carbon footprint and try and promote, more of a I don't know, like equal positive existence. I don't know. That's
yeah,
maybe not
that's
the
a good
best way.
one. Yeah,
Yeah, but yeah. So
environmentally friendly.
yeah, that's the one. That's a much better and easier way to say it. So I should have said that. Really, I don't know, like says words just don't like in my head, and they're just like floating around. I'm just like grabbing like random sentences that don't make any sense.
Yeah, I think doing a live stream after 15 minutes, like your brain dictionary sort of like
Yeah, it's like just falls to mashed potato. Like yeah, yeah, half the time like I'm like I don't even know what I'm saying on the stream. It's just like kind of just like my mind just starts to become like especially when I'm like if I'm like doing like a tutorial for something as well because I'm doing the actual thing in real time while I'm talking, and it's like that combination of narrating everything you do, and it's like it becomes so difficult sometimes. But yeah, so that also reminded me those are. But Sue Dale said earlier at the beginning of the live stream that she was wanting to kind of refresh on Photoshop and Photopea. So I want to remind everybody that on YouTube we do have an archive of all of our videos, and so you're welcome to look through those anytime, and the resources are all there. And beyond that, look out because there'll be more classes coming soon, guys. So keep your eyes peeled for that. So yeah, so Sue was saying she still can't see her mum because of nursing room rules, but she calls her every day. Fair enough, Sue. And Charlotte was saying that she hasn't seen a Nana and Grandad for 3.5 months. She went up on Friday. It was Nana's 80th birthday, and they have the biggest smile on their faces when they saw her. So I'm happy to hear that, Charlotte. That's nice that you're able to see her. And Lynn Johnson, yeah, bless Charlotte and Sue. I'm sure they appreciate it's not your fault. That's true. Yeah, I'm sure that they're more than happy to see you. And yes, she was saying, and then Charlotte was saying it's nice to see that a few people care about the earth. So I definitely echo those thoughts as well, Charlotte. It is nice to kind of see that they're promoting a bit of positivity there. So guys, yeah, I hope you've done the survey. Me and Matthew are going to go in a second. If you've got any questions for Matthew, please get them in. And um, yes, so yeah, if you've got any questions for Matthew, just please let us know now. And then if not, me and Matthew are going to go. But just before that, I do want to plug Haytham's upcoming session, which is, I'm just going to check exactly when it is, but it is this Friday, guys. So make sure that this Friday you tune in for Haytham's tester session, which is an intro to animation. If any
Yeah.
of you guys, so yeah, that is going to be absolutely awesome, guys. So I know that we've had a lot of requests from people for animation related stuff. So definitely make sure that you tune into that. And yeah, that is going to be Haytham, and that will be at, let's see if it is in the virtual track, and I'm going to tell you exactly when it will be. And if not, I write it down, might have already posted in the chat. Let's double check. Yeah, hold on, just give me a second. My computer is just kind of starting to slightly film it. Yes, okay, guys. So it is up. Are you still there, Matthew? Mate?
Yep.
I said that I got.
I noticed Dan just tuned into the live stream. I think he kind of saved the day there mentioning Friday's session.
Do you know what it is? It was on my mind. I was thinking about it, and then I ended up talking about something else and I got sidetracked. So yes, guys, finally, just to clarify, that is 10 to 12 on Friday. And that will be with Haytham, and that is an introduction animation, and it is going to be on Hit Film Express. So if you guys did any of the video editing sessions with myself, then you will have used that before. And I'm sure that Haytham's going to run you through how to install it. But if not, if you look on the YouTube page, if you look at video editing section 1, I did run through a little bit of how to download it and how to install it, so that is also there if you guys want to have a look at that. But yes, so make sure you stay tuned for that. And I think that is everything. So all good. Lynn says thank you, Matt, and yeah, thank you for joining us. Matthew, is there anything else that you would like to say just before we go off, or are you happy with that, bud?
I just wanted to say thanks for having us again. The amount of people that have managed to come onto these live streams and sort of share what's been happening for them, and just even though it kind of feels like in lockdown we're kind of in our own sort of bubble worlds in a way.
Yeah.
It's like we're wondering what's been happening on the outside, and sort of how are things like work and like change still being like sort of pushed towards being made during sort of what feels like a timeline where you can't really get out and do much.
Yeah.
But I think it's great to sort of see these people come into the staying connected streams and just share just how much is still happening, and sort of how we've all adapted and sort of managing to keep that going. And so even though we've been faced with difficulties, we've overcome them. So
it's a really good point, and well said, mate. I think that's very true. And yeah, it's been rough, man. This is a historical event. There's nothing like this happened in a lot of people's lifetimes. Everybody, unless you lived in the Spanish flu. So yeah, there's nothing. We've all never seen anything like this before, and it's kind of surreal. When you're in it, it's kind of hard to take a step back and think, wow, we've just lived through like something that's it's been it's devastating for a lot of countries and for a lot of people and a lot of families. So well said, man. And I think that it's good that we're kind of being able to kind of still stay connected together.
yeah.
Excuse the word, but yeah, and hopefully we're going to keep on doing that. So yeah, and we appreciate you guys tuning in, and thanks once again, Matthew, mate, because it's always a pleasure to have you on, bud, and we always have a good conversation as well. So it's all good, man.
Yeah,
But
always happy to be here.
most welcome, mate. Okay, so yeah, I think that me and Matthew are going to go, and I'm going to put the advice lines on for a couple of minutes, guys, and yeah, we'll see you later.
See you.